raise anyone's expectations there, have I? What I want to talk about is my first love, which is Brittany Murphy. Where is Brittany Murphy? Where is she? The voice of Charlene off of King of the Hill will forever fall silent. Either that or be voiced by some other actress. I haven't done any more research. Who will Ashton Kutcher act alongside now in instantly forgettable, formulaic rom-coms targeted at the insensible 20 to 30 year old age bracket demographic of conservative young couples with a devil-may-care attitude towards contraception and squeamishness when it comes to abortion? Who will casting agents contact now when there's a role for a slightly disturbed, doe-eyed, probably got felt up by her stepfather backstory, cute but in a non-threatening way, actress Zoe Deschanel? And who will be consoling Heath Ledger in the gated perimeter within heaven's pearly perimeter for the Hollywood A-list deceased? Brittany Murphy, child star of made-for-TV movies, awarded critical acclaim, made the breakthrough to Hollywood gold in that foot fetish scene in Cherry Falls where I fell in love with you. I watched every piece of shit you were in, Brittany, and I still can't understand why Jessica Alba had a bigger role than you in Sin City. My penultimate words are yours, Brittany. From that 2001 black and white nude suit where you posed in tasteful black and white, a hand over the breasts and the other hand over the poo-bass. I'm not saying I wouldn't, when gravity takes its toll, be against getting a nip or a tuck. Never shall gravity wreak havoc on your alabaster features, Brittany. Where is that body now? Aye, where is it? In a far better place, where neither gravity nor the cinemagoer's unrelenting gaze will ever necessitate again the cosmetic butcher's corrective knife. So, I'm glad someone laughed, because that is probably the worst taste porno. Although, I mean, it's just me, but it does actually, I get a lump in my throat when I read that poem, because you never expect your teen crushes to like die on you. You expect them to grow old, but in a way it might actually be even worse for them to grow old, because I was watching How I Met Your Mother the other day, and Alison Hannigan of Buffy fame, who used to play Willow, it's like seeing her and going, oh my gosh, she's old. And that really destroys me, and I think, having reached 31 years of age, it's a bit strange, because it's these situations where I'm walking down the street and I'll see an advertisement for American Pie, the reunion. This is a bunch of actors whose best years of their career is behind them, and they're doing this. The film that made most of them brought them to fame, and I just find that kind of like reflects my own pitiful journey in a way, because I've got 10 years looking back, I've achieved nothing, but I'm still living as if I've got like plenty of like time in the tank, but I haven't. I've wasted like 10 years. I've clocked up 31 years on the clock, and sometimes I'll see like a guy that I went to school with, and he's got male pattern baldness, and it's Brittany Murphy all over again. It's Alison Hannigan. I see milfy women. I go, oh God, she's milfy. And then in situations where it's appropriate for me to actually talk to a milf, I'll find out that she's 31 years old. She's the same age as me. And I'm like, what's going on? Because I don't feel any different inside. I'm still emotionally retarded. 2 women have told me that. What's the 2,000? And this year, but I don't meet that many women. I don't get close enough to one for to find that out. The other one was like, marriage was on the cards. But you could be more of a man, Chris. You've got the emotional intelligence of a 13-year-old boy. So what I'm saying is, time has suddenly become very important to me. And when I see that guy that I was at school with male pattern baldness, I suddenly go, is that how the 22-year-old girls that I'm coming on to see me? It's allowed. It's the rule. You know the rule. Half your age plus 7 years. Well, it was true yesterday. Yesterday the rule was alright. It's amazing how quickly things can change.
I'm doing the maths.
I can get 22 and a half because I'm 30, but it's...
I'm breaking the rules then.
You're breaking the rules. There's hope for it, I hope. So what I'm saying is, as a poet, there's 3 great subjects. Love, sex, death. And grouped in all of that, the one that's above it, Shakespeare's favourite word, anyone? Give it a T. Time. Time's always personified. Now the problem with being a poet is that, we're in 2012. All the good poems about time have been written already. If I was to try and write a poem now, it would be like one of those annoying memes on Facebook. You've already liked it and you've already shared it with everyone. It's a cliche. And that's really unfortunate. So I was thinking, I want to write a poem about time. Okay. Now what I just read, I didn't know it at the time, but my very crass, horrible poem about the lovely Brittany Murphy, Brittany's going back around in a second, was an ubi sunt. See, you didn't expect to get a poetry lesson. It's an ubi sunt, and the ubi sunt is written in the format.
Oh, what's it said?
It's written in the it costs a lot to get there.
Can I walk?
I think you meant to.
Sorry.
Now, where was I? I can't remember.
Ubi Sun.
Ubi Suns. It's written in, thanks for that. It's written in the format, where is XYZ, where is it? It's about time passing, it's about things that you have and you lose. Carpe diem, seize the day. Not fish of the day, carpe diem, seize the day. Nowadays, YOLO, have you heard of that? You only live once. Defined by Wiktionary as a phrase that youngsters use nowadays, often to justify irrational and destructive behaviour, like we all do when we're younger. Live for the now, live for the moment. Often used in love poems during the seduction phase, just before you get to the emotional blackmail. I've been doing some research into this, and we're all familiar with the Grim Reaper, yeah? Death. Now, to throw out words here, when I found it, I almost laughed my ass off. Psychopomp. Does anyone know what a psychopomp is?
I've heard before.
Is anyone familiar with the film The Crow?
Yeah.
Do you know The Crow is a psychopomp? It comes. Now I used to think that the Grim Reaper came with his side, cut you down and killed you. Not so. The psychopomp can only persuade you to go to the next level. So the Crow is there, and that's why he's a ghost. He's a known person. He's got to finish his business before he goes. So I really like that, and I found out that during the bubonic plague, when people were dropping like flies, monks were writing how to die manuals because people were dying. And this is 600 years, 400 years before Kubler-Ross, the Kubler-Ross cycle, which is about, denial, anger, then acceptance, all these kinds of things for people with terminal illness. They were doing it way back then, because things just repeat, there's nothing new under the sun. I really like this idea that I used to write dialogues, and it never invariably went that the person who was dying would say, well, I've never read a book, and I want to hang around, I've got so much to live for, and like the psychopomp would like say, well yeah, but look, right, you've had your time, and, the world ain't getting any smaller, and you just need to like make room for other people. You should have shit or got off the pot. But think about all the things that you did achieve, and it persuades people to kind of like move on. And I really like that idea that it wasn't a given, you had to do it. So I thought, if I could write a poem about time, maybe I would do it in the form of one of these dialogues. And I thought about it a bit, and I thought, what can I say to the psychopomp to get like 10 the tables on them? Repossessor of miracle makers' wonders, where do you keep them? In a glass catacomb? Are they in mint condition? Or are you dumb as a door jamb and deaf to the pleas of the terminal's cries? You are a radiographer's delight. I know a trick, abracadabra. Where are the rosaries of tears you cried that night when the earth turned like an orrery and you didn't want the sun to catch up with you? Where are those bed sheets that were tired and cranky in the morning because of the evening's activities? Where is that jam jar of frog spawn of regret? Where is the scalp of the one spoon you really meant? Where are those cat's eyes that shot away like tracer fire on the motorway back home from that drive-through party you crashed? Where are the derelicts you decapitated? Where is the cold custard of your true love's just dessert? Where is that library of books you borrowed and they never returned? Where are the medals that all those spiders got because they made you scream in a way that your boyfriend never could? You were dumb, deaf, and blind. A radiographer's delight. When was the last time you lay unupholstered, snug in a lover's chair, disgraced? Do you humour your partners with a last promenade? Do your legerdemain palms recall the burning switch of holding hands? You were dumb, deaf, and blind as the moon's sun-eroded sockets. But you cannot cry for me. For my last trick, a treat, I cried for you. thing. Now the thing is, you know, I can't be too hard on death. I mean, I think that was a bit of projection there, to be honest, because I don't know where my frog spawn of delight is, of Derrilies spun out like marbles on the, what was I saying? I don't know, I was just talking bollocks when it sounds like poetry, but it's just complete bollocks. But I've been thinking about the past and how things have changed. I'm going to end on a first, I think. First kisses. So, saccharine sweet. Always described sentimentally. Always a picaresque kind of like scenario. You never get those bad ones. And when I was young, I had boundaries. The packy shop. Yeah, I said packy. It was a different time then. We had packy shops. Scope was the spastic society, and we called each other mongs. And people said, "Ayah!" and paedophiles. The fashion that year was this, and they had puppies in the back, and they always had boiled sweets, and telephone wires were actually active. And you could get cross wires, you could hear other people talking. And miners kept vibration white finger and repetitive strain injury to themselves. And youngsters could actually look each other in the eye, and boys all had a male role model. And all the dinner nannies were fat. And children actually developed, you know, like the muscles you need to make expressions. And they actually laughed rather than using an abbreviation. And there were still MILFs back then. Your best friend's mum was still MILF, but they hadn't come up with the acronym for it yet. And do you remember you used to have like sweets like moon dust, like pop rocks, and it crackled on your tongue and stuff like that. And as I said, it was at the packy shop, you know, because that's what we said back then. We had chinkies as well, you know. and you know, we all smoked. Everybody smoked back then, and because we didn't know it caused cancer, and everybody ate lime as well because it cured stomach ulcers. Because that's what it was like back then. It was a different time. And Kelly, I was 7 or 8, 6, 7 or 8, and everyone you hung out at the recreation ground at the end of. You know, where you've got Union Street and then Parliament Road kind of dovetail. It's like a big pointy sign going to the recreation ground, because like back then the play areas were made of concrete, and people played in the back alleys instead. They weren't all cordoned off, and that's why I hung out with all these like street children and stuff. And they were like, you know, I noticed this, like, you know, her eyes, this girl's eyes for the first time, and I went and said to someone, what's her name? So everyone knew that I fancied her, because, you know, if you asked about a girl's name, then obviously you're in love. She's extremely embarrassing, but she like bought me my first packet of moon dust, and I wasn't allowed to go past the recreation ground, but I followed her pelican crossing Amber up the alley across the recreation ground, and she cued cars, and she beckoned red Edgin's eye. Amber absence chased by a honking Amber absence green followed, and we waded under red struts to a secret room. No one's eyes have ever been so out of their packets of moon dust as hers under that bridge. And two big boys separated bristling grass, and one big boy, nearly as big, took up a plaggy bag and punched it over his face, and it tried to swim away like a snagged jellyfish, and the other boy, nearly as big, took up the boy with the plaggy bag and swigged him. "Be nice," said Kelly. "This your new boyfriend? You opened it yet?" Kelly breathless smell of late night ma and da infused with pilsner, and I could always of moon dust. I couldn't tell where she put the moon dust, and she could always of moon dust, and I tried to swim away from faces like a jellyfish gleaming.